According to a Pew Research survey released in 2007, only 69% of U.S. citizens could name the vice president. Only 66% could even name their own state governor. The scary thing is that these numbers are down 5 and 8% from 1989, which was before the internet and the mass information revolution of the 90s and the 2000s. What we have here is a growing problem, an increase of political apathy in the United States. Today I hope to inform you of the history, causes, and effects of political apathy in American people. This information is important to all of us because the political system, whether on a local or national level, affects everyone. You know that in 2006 a survey was conducted among Americans, and it found that most people cannot name the first 5 amendment freedoms, like freedom of religion, freedom of press, right to petition, but most can name the members of citizens. Most people do not realize that the rights they have as citizens of this country, and what's worrying is that many of us would not even notice if these rights were taken away. Political apathy wasn't always a problem in the U.S. In the 1800s, about 80% of eligible voters actually voted in general elections, although that group consisted of mainly white males. Voter turnout in the 20th century ranged from 50% to 60%, with some dips and peaks along the way. In the 50s and 60s, turnout exceeded 60%, but in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, this number dropped drastically. In 1996, according to the BBC News, voter participation fell below 50%, for the first time since 1924 and the second lowest since 1824. In the 2004 elections, only 56% of those eligible actually voted. Younger voters voted marginally more, but if P. Diddy's Vote or Die campaign was actually literal, there would be about 22 million people dead between the ages of 18 and 30. The United States is the lowest voter turnout of any industrialized country. But the United States plays such an important role in shaping the world, you would think that more of its citizens would take voting seriously. In Western European countries, a voter turnout of above 70% since the beginning of the 1900s is a regular occurrence. In the past 30 years, we've seen a sharp decline in voter turnout. This decline, for the most part, has continued every election, and there are several causes for this. For example, high school civics classes, at least in my case, were not interesting for students. Often they're not relatable, or do they actually instill any civic duty in young people. Many kids hear the word politics and just think boring guys in seats. They don't think of how they are involved regarding their and social issues. And I don't think civic classes, for the most part, get its connection across, that we're all affected by these issues. Also, I don't ever remember once in my high school career being asked to write my local representative or congressman, or even being taught who these people were. Another cause is that many of us are complacent and satisfied with the way things are. Most of us come from middle to higher income families, and we go to Penn State, so things are pretty good for us. There's not this urgency that many other countries feel to go out and vote and actually change things. And kind of going along with this, a lot of parents are not voting, because there's been this decline in voting among all ages. So if mom and dad aren't voting and getting involved, chances are their kids aren't voting either. I know my parents don't vote and really are not interested in politics, so I didn't get interested until recently. Another cause is that many young people do not really feel targeted by politicians, or we feel that we're simply overlooked. A lot of us think that politicians are corrupt and selfish, and that the whole process is flawed, which is a reasonable understanding. If you look at the past elections, there are a lot of allegations of voter fraud in Florida and Ohio, and some people could say that Bush unfairly snuck an office twice, so a lot of young people are cynical. In the 1970s, the Vietnam War and Watergate both caused many people to distrust the government and lose faith in the political system. One of the main reasons for political apathy is the feeling that your vote doesn't count and that we don't matter. In the past, we've seen candidates win the popular vote, like Al Gore in the 2000 election, yet not win the overall election. So a lot of us feel that we're not directly involved, and this is disheartening to a lot of people. Now, all the causes help produce a lot of negative effects, showing how dangerous political apathy really is. For example, a huge chunk of Americans have very limited knowledge of politics and politicians at even the most local and national level. According to the National Civic and Political Health Survey in 2006, 53% of Americans are unaware that only citizens can vote in federal elections, and only 30% can correctly name at least one member of the President's chief staff, the President's cabinet, and those 82% name Condoleezza Rice. Only 30% 4% know the United States is a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council, and Americans are generally less informed about politics than Western European countries, which is perhaps part of the reason why they have a voter turnout. If more Americans knew, then perhaps they would vote more. Another effect is that people have limited knowledge on what is going on locally in their own town. People don't even know their own local laws or ordinances. In many parts of the country, it's easy for people to break the law and not even know it. For example, in Alabama, it's illegal to wear a false mustache in church. In Hesperia, California, the law states that no one is allowed to duel if the opponent selects water pistols as a weapon. And in Santa Ana, California, it's illegal for a horse to sleep in a bakery. Those are all true. And the apathetics easily break one of those laws and not even realize it. Political apathy is also the reason why these laws became laws in the first place. Local citizens have a right to hold ballot measures and initiatives to overturn or enact laws like these ones, but most people don't even realize they have this capacity. Besides having an effect at a local level, political apathy is also very relevant at a larger level. Everyone is affected by some issue, whether it's minimum wage increase, abortion, gay rights, social security, affirmative action, healthcare, or rising tuition costs. All of us are affected by these issues. The thing is, many of us don't realize that we can get involved in making these issues take effect or stop affecting us, depending on your view. If enough people really stood behind on an issue, it could persuade more politicians to make it a priority or a vocal point. And from a hypothetical standpoint, people who are politically apathetic can easily be disenfranchised and have their rights taken away, and many of us will not even know it. Most people do not know the full extent of the Bill of Rights, for example. Protecting the freedom to practice religion, having a trial by jury, or eminent domain. If one of these amendments were restricted, who would really know? Being politically aware is one of the best tools to keep the government in check. And this is best exemplified by Adolf Hitler's rise to power in 1934. The German citizens let him and the Nazi regime go completely unchecked and unbalanced. No one spoke out to question Hitler until it became too late. But 6 million Jewish people were killed in the Holocaust. Many of the Germans felt complacent with the government, and apathy became a way of life. From looking at the history, causes, and effects of political apathy, we can see that it's a never-ending cycle and a destructive one at that. Apathy is a growing problem in the U.S., and it's up to the average citizen, especially young people, to be better informed and more involved. Politics in one way or another affects us all, and to turn a blind eye to it is